Good morning. I just brushed my hair so it looks sort of nice. So I'm taking it in. Okay, well, that looks good. Good morning and welcome to Thank You Well Thursday. It's Thursday. That's like pre-Friday. Also, it's great. It's just a great day. Work. Well, no, I do work. I don't court, which is the sort of more intense part of work. My face is so shiny. I don't understand. If I turn on this light, ooh, makes it worse. Okay. I don't know why. I mean, I know why my nose is shiny. I just put some stuff on my nose, but the rest of me is just shiny for fun, I guess. So today is the day where I write a thank you note to someone that you suggest to me. But I want to make sure that I get all the votes that I can. So I'm going to put the link to the oh, that's not my name. That's not anything. Let's try that again. I'm going to put the link to the poll in the chat. Okay, that didn't put it in as a link though. There you go. Oh, the link. Okay. Look. So let's take a look at your actions today. We've got my instructor from the first Painting with a Twist class I went to. I don't know who that person was. I could probably figure it out though. I think it was a guy. No. So the first one I remember for sure going to was I went with my mom to one in Pittsburgh. You know what Painting with a Twist is, right? It's a thing where they give you a bunch of acrylic paints and some wine. Well, you bring the wine and you paint whatever the instructor like sort of tutorials for you, and you drink wine and you do it with friends. The first one I went to was with my mom in Pittsburgh, or like I don't know if it was the first one I went to. It was the first one I can think of though. We painted a painting of the Pittsburgh skyline, which I have, but here's the problem with Painting with a Twist. I drink a lot of wine, so it doesn't look very good. I thought it looked really good when I was painting it, but it does not. It's a mistake. I don't make that mistake much anymore. I've grown as a human. I just don't get drunk very much. I can't remember. I don't think there was one before that. I just don't think there was. But there were several after that. So I went once with my friend Carrie. I think that was here in Texas though. And we painted a tree on the water. And it was like supposed to be like a cherry blossom tree. But mine didn't look like cherry blossoms because I made a color mistake. I put more pink. Blue? I don't know. I was trying something with the colors and it didn't quite look the way I wanted it to at the end. There was also a moon in that painting. I went to one with my family, and we did for my, I don't know if we had a specific purpose for it, but I think it was to celebrate my sister-in-law's recent engagement to my brother. It was recent at the time and is now long past. They are now married. But that one was like a beachy sunset that we painted. Lots of landscapes, it turns out. we may have done that. Well, that may have been for my niece's birthday. I don't know. There was one that we did for my niece's birthday that I missed. Yeah, because I had planned to be there, but then my dog got sick. I didn't want to leave her. But not either of these dogs. She got sick and died. It's dark. She can get, well, okay, whatever. We don't need to talk about how my dog died. But the one that they did was like an elephant one, and I don't know why I'm looking around. None of the ones that I painted are in here. But the reason that I want to thank this person, whoever they are, I could figure it out, or I could just send it to the place that I know I will with my mom. Was because they sort of, I don't know that I ever really got into painting with acrylics. I took some art classes when I was a kid. Most of them were sketch classes, drawing classes. That's what I like to do. I like to draw, but I think I like to draw because it was so much easier. It was so much easier to set up. Like you just grab a pencil and a paper and you just go. But I wasn't like super great at it. I just did it a lot. And I was lucky to live in a town that had like a lot of selection of art classes to choose from, and lucky to live in a family where that was like something that I could do. And I remember painting at some point because I remember making brown with acrylic paints, but I don't remember if that was in school or it was just like the art classes that I was taking or what it was. And then, and I just don't think I really got the hang of acrylic painting. And so this person in these paint classes, silly as they tended to be. Oh, I also did one with my husband, and we painted a Jedi and a Sith. That's very cool like that. But these paint classes sort of showed me how fun it was to paint with acrylics, but also how once you know what you're doing, it's really not as hard as you think it is. And since then, I've painted a lot of things just by looking up tutorials on YouTube. And I've learned a lot of tricks that make you do things well without having to have like the super good hand-eye coordination. It's skills, like eye skills of the drawing that I never really got the hang of. So been enjoying that. This is like a really great opportunity for me to like show you these things, but none of them are here. They're all like in a room down there. Not all of them, but most of them. Although behind me you can see well, you can't really see it, but that's where I paint. I sit at that chair and I paint. You can see the paint bottles. Yeah, it's a paint bottle, that's a paint bottle. It's a paint bottle, that's a paint bottle. Yeah, but that's where I do my acrylics. Acrylics you have to sort of like have a whole thing for because I want to get them all over the place. Watercolors I'll just do wherever. And gouache, gouache, whatever that. So that's why I would send a thank you note to that person. I don't need to wax eloquence about this. The the people in second are Vanessa Zoltan and Julia Argy. Julie Argy? I think it's. Why did I say Julie? Oh, that way. It's Julia. I'm fairly certain it's Julia Argy. Let me just. Julia Argy. Yeah. Julia. I really thought I put Julia on there, but I didn't. I put Julia Argy. I won't put that on the thank you note if I write it. But Vanessa Zoltan and Julia Argy are, well, okay, so I don't know what Julia Argy's background is, except I think that they met at school. Okay, here. So they are co-hosts of one of my favorite podcasts. And it was one of my favorite podcasts probably before all of this happened. But now it's super one of my favorite podcasts because it's just really fun and quick and comes out regularly, which is great, and very funny, and yeah, it's just very good. So they do a podcast that is right now called Twilight in Quarantine, and they're on New Moon. So if you don't know the Twilight series, there's Twilight, New Moon, Breaking Dawn, and Eclipse, I think, are the 4 books. Or maybe you switch, maybe it's Eclipse and Breaking Dawn. I don't know. But so those are romance novels of a type. And the normal podcast that they put out is called Hot and Bothered, and it's a podcast about romance novels. In their first season, they gave people a bunch of assignments, I guess, to write at least some start or portion of a romance novel to and do, they picked a trope, and they picked a trope, I guess is how they did it. Like fake relationship or secret baby or updated fairy tale or marriage of convenience or that sort of thing. And they had to write, or at least start writing, a podcast, a novel or a novella about in that vein. And then Vanessa Zoltan would, meet with them a couple times, like talk to them about how it was going and what they thought about the trope and what they thought about romance novels in general and what they were learning from the process of writing it. It was about writing as a sacred practice. Vanessa has, I guess, her first BA in English literature, and then I think she got her MDiv in. I don't really know. They went to they met, a bunch of these people who do this podcast met together at Harvard Divinity School. And yeah, so they come at this whole thing from a very interesting thing. The concept of Hot and Bothered was to treat writing a romance novel as a sacred practice, which I could get into, but I think I would not do it justice, and I would leave you confused. So, but there are lots of sacred practices and religions and sacred religious traditions and sacred traditions across the globe, and they all focus on attention. It's about attention, where you put your attention and how you use it. And so they were trying to use the attention that you have to pay while you're writing as a sort of sacred practice of I don't know how to describe it. But just paying close attention and doing it more for yourself than for an audience or whatever. And so that was the original podcast concept, and it still plans on being that way. But right now they're trying to be sort of light and come out with podcast episodes a lot. So they used to give advice. There was a section of that podcast where they would pull advice questions from the internet, where people had just asked the internet a question about their relationship, and then they would just give unsolicited advice. I mean, it was semi-solicited advice because these people did ask for advice. They just didn't ask for it from a podcast. They would give advice to this person on the internet. And then now what they do is they combine those things, sort of. I mean, there's not really a whole lot of sacred practicing going on, but they give advice to the characters in Twilight, and then they also just sort of like talk about Twilight as a book, but it's very short, so they don't do a whole lot of like talking about Twilight. They do a sort of a recap. They talk about their favorite parts of the chapter, and they give advice to the characters. And then they also are making a care package. That's imaginary. Making a care package for Bella, the main character in Twilight. That sort of like is added into their advice. They will sometimes like give her like, what did they gave her one time? They gave her a Zoloft because they said that she was depressed. They give her things to like, I don't know, they just generally don't like Bella very much, but they definitely don't like the people that she's with, and so they're trying to encourage her to find a better love interest. So they try to give her things to sort like they try to give her a I can't remember. It's funny. Just take my word for it. It's funny. Go listen to it. Google it. The website that they have is hotandbotheredrompod.com. So that's easy to remember and write and everything. But if you just Google Hot and Bothered or Twilight in Quarantine, you'll find it. And it's very enjoyable. And the episodes are only like, it can't be more than 20 minutes. So very enjoyable. And yeah, and especially if you like women talking about women, then it's great, because that tends to be something that I enjoy, is stuff made by women for women, or at least for people who care about things that aren't typically considered feminine, I guess. I don't know. It just feels like it's for women. You know, they talk very candidly about the female experience, I guess, about being a woman. And I appreciate that as a woman, something that I know. So those are the second people, and the third person is the owner. Maybe there's more than one, of Lucky Dog Books. So Lucky Dog Books is a used bookstore the one that I go to is in Garland, Texas, and it is just an amazing bookstore. It is, I don't know how many books they have, but they have so many books. They are probably the same square footage, I would imagine, or bigger, as my house. But literally every wall is a bookshelf, and every bookshelf is packed. And it's organized pretty well. Like, it's hard to find what you're looking for. I would say probably a good half of the bookstore is like romance novels, because I mean, those are the kinds of books that you can really easily get to a used bookstore. And so that's great, because what I would do, and what I'm still sort of doing, I haven't been back there in a while due to COVID, but I would buy like 10 romance novels, generally, or other novels too, but romance novels would be like the bulk of it. That's why there were so many of them. And they would be like $1 to $2 a piece, and I would buy them, and then I would read all the ones that I wanted to, and I would not read the ones that I didn't want to, and then I would bring them back, and you get credit for however much they were worth. And that's not how much they sold them to you for. It's how much they look up how much the book is worth. And I don't know where they look it up. I think they have like a database. I don't think it's like an Amazon search or anything. They have a database, because they like look up the ISBN. So they can look at a book and say, like, you probably got this from here, but they're not going to sell it to you. They're not going to give you credit for what they sold it to you for. They're going to give you credit for whatever they could buy it for online. And like they sort of, I guess, make some sort of judgment based on the condition that it's in. And then they give you credit for that, and you have like an account with them. And you can use that up to half your the price of your books. that you buy in the future. So if you have a $30 credit, you can buy $60 worth of books for only $30. Does that make sense? I'm not explaining this very well, but if you have a $30 credit and you wanted to buy $15 worth of books, you can only use $7.5, whatever dollars, but you could eventually use that whole $30. And so I like it as a supplement to my local library, because my local library doesn't have, scads of, for instance, romance novels, but they also don't have scads of like a lot of the books that are there that are older. Some of them are, they have like some collector's books that are like, nice copies, and they have lots of there are lots of paperbacks. So if you think about like the Boxcar Children or other books for kids that came in like serial form and were that are on paperback, they have lots of those books. They have, I sound like I'm just telling you about the cheap bad books that they sell, but that's not true. They do sell cheap bad books. And by bad books, I mean like, I guess I don't mean bad books. I mean cheap, literal, like dime a dozen sort of books, like cheap books that just come out, 3 a year, or in the case of romance novels, 4 a month. But they do have a lot of those. And I think that's great, because those books are hard to find, and you don't want to buy them online because they're not worth the price of shipping, honestly. And but everyone has these books, or at least had these books at one point, and so it's great that used bookstore, like that's a perfect use for a used bookstore. And then also they have a lot of like new books, like because you get credit for bringing your books in, it sort of incentivizes bringing in books that you might otherwise try to sell. So especially if you're like a person who likes to sort of like go through books. So they sometimes have relatively new books. I've gotten some hardcover, like first edition books there that only came out in the past like year and a half or so. Yeah, it's just, and they're not expensive. They're good. And I really cannot stress enough how much I like the credit thing, because that's definitely going to make me keep going back. And there's a lot of books that I get that I tend to overbuy at bookstores. Basically, buying any book at a bookstore that I haven't read before is overbuying, because who knows, if you saw my list, I don't know if I'm ever going to read those. So I really should like buy them in ebook or something. But I like physical books, and I like buying books. I like having it's terrible. Anyway, so if there's a book that I don't like, or a book that I know I'm not going to keep, or I'm not going to read again, or I can't give away, or anything like that, then I can give it to them, and I can get credit for it. That's good. That's a good situation right there. So yeah, I'm excited about that bookstore, and I'm really concerned about them. I have not looked into it to see how they're doing during COVID, or if they're open, or what their whole situation is. But I'm sure they're not. I'm sure they have at least rent to pay if they're not like keeping their employees on right now. And I'm really concerned, because I really don't want them to go away. So I would write a thank you note to the owners and operators of that bookstore, and sort of a note of encouragement as well. And I would just send it to the bookstore that I go to, because that's easy enough. So those are the 3 options. Let's look at get your votes in. Drum roll, please. Ow. That's not a good drum roll situation. All right, we've got 6 responses, which means no one responded today. Good work, people. All right. This, I think, is going to be a tighter poll, because I don't think there's anything that like sticks out as like, if you should definitely write to this person. Oh, hey, okay. So I cannot ever get this to say. I just want to see the count. I don't want to see the percentages. Okay, so we've got 2 people voted for my instructor from the first Painting with a Twist class I went to. 1 person voted for Vanessa Zoltan and Julia Argy, and 3 people voted for the owners of Lucky Dog Bookstore. So that means it's all Lucky Dog Books. 3, 2, 1. Ooh, I knew it was gonna be closer. I knew it. What about a Star Wars one for them? Comic books. That's pretty solid, huh? Detective Comics. This one. Starring this issue, the amazing and unique adventures of the Batman. 64 pages of action. The Green Lantern, featuring Menace of the Runaway Missile. Action Comics. This one just looks like pretty standard. It's just Superman catching a woman who's inexplicably falling from a roof. A lot of Superman right here on top. Okay, this one, I would have sent this one to Julia and Vanessa if that had been chosen. Great guns, a girl flying. It must be an illusion. Look again, Superman, it's me, Supergirl, and I have all your powers. Introducing the Supergirl from Krypton. Is she friend or foe? I don't know. I think that's very silly. So I think we should go with one of these generic, more generic looking Superman ones. So let's go with this one. Action Comics. Do you like my like 50s announcer voice? Or 30s announcer voice, I guess. Okay. I'm gonna write this. Dear. Ooh, I should know their names, huh? Ooh, I'm gonna look them up and I'm gonna find out something I don't want to know. Like these books, like I'm gonna find out that they're closed. Ooh, no. Ooh. No. Okay. Oh, okay, so they're definitely still open. Oh, they sell vinyl records as well. And then they post pictures of like things that they've recently got in. Oh, they were selling masks, like boxes of masks. That's nice. No, so they are open and they are operating. Oh, Encyclopedia Britannica. Sorry, I'm just like trying to find anything where they say. Anyway, well, they do sell like cookies and usually have like tea and stuff. I wonder if they don't have it now. Okay. So they're doing curbside for a while. home delivery and shipping. Okay, and then they started like doing abbreviated hours for. Okay, so they're open. They're open. You don't have to worry about them being closed. Okay? Maybe you have to worry about people who work there getting COVID, but that is a different issue. So, Lucky Dog Books, person who owns it. Or Lucky Dog Books. I want to find out the Lucky Dog Books owner. Not owner, no. Okay. Let's go to their website. Mask is currently required, and they have some for sale. And abbreviated hours. I mean, the great thing about Lucky Dog Books in and of itself is that it is like a community. It tries to be a community organization. Like they have events, and like I said, they used to have like tea and stuff. They don't. It's all hiatus right now. They would also recycle things. They did like open mic nights. Looks like they. They are interested in selling a bookstore. They're family owned. Okay. They don't have their names. They just keep talking about themselves in the first person. Who does that? Okay. All right. I'm just gonna write it to Lucky Dog Books. And what is today? 23rd. I make look, jokes on you. I make noises all the time. I don't have to be paying you. Thank you so much for your wonderful store. I've only been to one, but they have more than one. The great selection and helpful staff have always brightened my reading experience, my day, my life. I mean, they are probably my favorite thing that I've found since coming to Texas. It brightened my I really written myself into a corner in this sentence. I don't know. It brightened my day. I'm just gonna go with it. Feels like a cop out. Because it is. That's why it feels like it is, because it is. I miss coming to your store. I had a problem writing the address on here. Stay strong and stay safe. And I generally put, this feels very self-aggrandizing, I generally put the YouTube the link here too. No space, no problem. That's a 0. Okay. And I can address it to them, I guess, if I go to their contact. Nope. I closed that window. Okay. I just had it open. What am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing? I guess their contact link is broken. Wherever it's down here. Yeah. Locations. There is just a map or a fruit flying here. I'll just send it to the store, I guess. I think of them as being in Garland, but it looks like they're not. They are in Garland Road, though. Okay. So now it just the seeker. I drew a little line between because I got a little bit over generous with where I wrote the actual note. So and then I smeared the address with my thumb. So goodness. All right, it's been a joy and a dream, and I've been high too long here. I will send that today, probably. I mean, why not? I have the address on it already. It just needs the stamp. Okay, I'll send it post haste. But right now, I gotta go get the recycling out. It's been a joy and a dream. I will be around tomorrow for what is that one? Oh, Fridays? Flashback Friday. All right. See ya.